From the moment the first sparks of creation settled into a cooling planet of fire and stone, Earth has carried the weight of an unfolding human saga, one marked by triumph, brutality, ambition, discovery, and the unending search for meaning. Before we begin this journey across the vast timeline of our species, make sure to subscribe to History of Wars for more immersive documentaries and gripping stories from the ancient world to the modern age. Our story begins long before kingdoms, armies, and empires, long before the first tool or first spoken word, when small bands of early humans wandered the African savanna. These early people didn't know the concept of history, but every footstep they took carved the opening chapters of the human tale. They battled predators, shifting climates, and the razor-thin boundary between survival and extinction. Yet from this struggle emerged something extraordinary: curiosity. It was curiosity that made one of our ancestors strike stones together to create fire. Curiosity that pushed small groups beyond familiar rivers into unexplored grasslands, and curiosity that eventually carried them out of Africa entirely, spreading across deserts, mountains, and frozen plains. Over thousands of years, these travelers populated the earth, leaving behind handprints on cave walls, stories carved into stone, and rituals that bridged the mysterious worlds of the living and the dead. As the Ice Age slowly loosened its grip, humans transitioned from wandering hunters to settled farmers. Fields replaced forests, seeds became tools of transformation, and the first villages rose along fertile rivers. In Mesopotamia, the Tigris and Euphrates nurtured the world's earliest cities. Uruk, Eridu, Lagash, where clay tablets recorded grain stores, trade agreements, and myths of gods who shape destinies. Far to the west, the Nile gave birth to Egyptian civilization, a timeless land of pharaohs, pyramids, and monumental tombs built to defy death. Meanwhile, in the Indus Valley, carefully planned cities like Mohenjo-Daro flourished with advanced sanitation systems, while ancient dynasties in China inscribed oracle bones with questions for the heavens. The world was changing rapidly, and humanity was learning to build societies held together by laws, beliefs, trade, and shared identity. As civilizations grew in size and complexity, power began concentrating in the hands of rulers, kings, emperors, priests who commanded armies and shaped the destiny of millions. With power came conflict, for no empire rose without challenge from another hungry for land or glory. In Mesopotamia, bronze-tipped spears clashed in the world's first recorded battles. In Egypt, chariots thundered across open plains as rival dynasties fought for the throne. Out of these early struggles emerged military strategies, fortified cities, and weapons forged in fire. War had become a defining force in human progress and destruction alike. Yet even as kingdoms fought, ideas crossed borders, writing systems spread, religious beliefs migrated, and trade routes connected distant lands. Bronze Ages shifted into Iron Ages, and the world stepped closer to the Age of Empires. Then came the Greek traders, sailors, poets, thinkers who questioned everything. They studied stars, debated politics, wrote tragedies, and experimented with early democracy. From their lands emerged Alexander the Great, who built one of the largest empires of the ancient world, spreading Hellenistic culture from Egypt to India. Rome followed next, rising from a small village on the Tiber River to a colossal empire spanning 3 continents. Roman roads, laws, engineering, and legions reshaped the Western world for centuries, but all empires fade. Rome cracked under internal corruption, barbarian invasions, and staggering military pressures. Yet in its collapse, Europe was transformed. New kingdoms emerged, Christianity spread, and medieval societies built towering cathedrals while waging fierce wars over territory, religion, and power. At the same time, far from Europe, powerful civilizations thrived. The Mayans tracked celestial cycles with astonishing precision. The Aztecs built floating cities in the Valley of Mexico. The Inca Empire stitched together mountains with intricate roads. And in Africa, the kingdoms of Mali, Ghana, and Songhai grew wealthy from gold and trade. China witnessed dynasties rise and fall, Japan's samurai refined a warrior code of honor, and the Islamic Golden Age produced scientists, scholars, and philosophers whose contributions would eventually spark revolutions in the West. The world was no longer isolated pockets of human development. Ideas were traveling faster than ever before. Then the age of exploration erupted, driven by ambition, curiosity, greed, and faith. European powers began sailing beyond familiar shores. In 1492, Columbus crossed the Atlantic, setting off a chain of events that reshaped entire continents. Empires collided, cultures clashed, diseases ravaged populations, and new trade routes redefined global economics. Over the next centuries, European nations carved vast colonial domains across Asia, Africa, and the Americas. These empires extracted resources, imposed new laws and beliefs, and redrew borders with little regard for the people living there. Yet even under imperial rule, resistance grew. Indigenous warriors fought back, enslaved people revolted, and leaders emerged across the world demanding self-determination. While empires expanded overseas, revolutions ignited at home. The American Revolution challenged monarchy. The French Revolution toppled aristocracy, and industrialization transformed societies from rural to mechanical. The world entered the modern age, a period defined by technology, political upheaval, and unprecedented shifts in human life. Steam engines powered factories, railways connected cities, and scientific discoveries from electricity to evolution reshaped how humanity understood itself. But the rapid progress came with a darker shadow, for industrial power also brought industrialized warfare. By the early 20th century, alliances, nationalism, and imperial rivalry ignited the First World War, a conflict of trenches, gas, and unimaginable loss. Only 2 decades later, World War II erupted even more violently, reshaping borders, societies, and global ideologies. When the smoke cleared, the world stood divided between superpowers, launching the Cold War, a battle of intelligence, influence, technology, and nuclear fear. Humanity now held the power to destroy itself. As the Cold War tension eased, new challenges took shape: economic crises, digital revolutions, global communication, and shifting political landscapes. Nations rose and fell from power. Wars continued across contested regions, and humanity stepped into space, exploring beyond the planet that had birthed its entire history. The internet connected billions of people across continents, creating a world that was more interlinked than ever before. Yet with connection came new forms of conflict: cyber warfare, misinformation, and global competition over technology, energy, and ideology. The world today is the product of millions of years of evolution, tens of thousands of years of migration, and centuries of triumph and struggle. We stand in a moment shaped by every ancestor who tamed fire, carved stone, built cities, wrote laws, waged wars, discovered stars, and dreamed of a better world. And as we look toward the future, humanity carries both the weight and the wisdom of its long, turbulent, remarkable history. This journey is far from finished. Our story is still unfolding. The history of the world is a story held together by a delicate thread, the choices of countless people across thousands of years, each action echoing outwards to shape the world we now inhabit. It is the story of inventions that sparked revolutions, leaders whose visions changed nations, and ordinary people whose lives formed the foundation beneath empires. It is the story of humanity's greatest achievements, from the construction of the pyramids to the landing on the moon, and its darkest tragedies, from ancient massacres to global wars. It is a tale of survival, ingenuity, conflict, and cooperation, an ever-shifting dance between chaos and order. As civilizations expanded, their interactions transformed every corner of the planet. The Silk Road carried not only goods but religions, philosophies, diseases, and technologies. Along its winding routes, empires rose on wealth and collapsed under corruption. Warriors, explorers, traders, and scholars traveled its length, spreading ideas that reshaped entire societies. Meanwhile, in Africa, kingdoms like Kush, Aksum, and Ethiopia forged their own legacies, blending culture, architecture, and spiritual traditions. In Asia, empires such as the Mongols stitched together massive territories under brutal conquest and sophisticated administration, creating a period of unprecedented connectivity. In the Middle East, the Ottoman Empire grew into a formidable power, bridging continents and influencing art, science, and warfare. Across the globe, transformations emerged from the interplay between power and people, belief and ambition, war and peace. As the modern era unfolded, nations embraced nationalism, revolutions overturned monarchies, and new ideologies demanded global attention. The 19th and 20th centuries saw humanity's greatest extremes: the horrors of two world wars, the groundbreaking technological leaps of industrialization, and the rise of global superpowers locked in ideological conflict. Yet even amidst these enormous shifts, individual stories shaped the narrative of humanity. Inventors crafting machines that changed daily life, explorers mapping unknown landscapes, resistance fighters challenging oppression, and visionaries imagining new worlds. In the 21st century, our challenges have evolved. We face global issues: climate change, economic inequality, political polarization, and technological uncertainty that transcend borders and demand unity. Every invention that connects us also exposes us. Every breakthrough that empowers us also challenges us. But the history of the world is a testament to resilience. Generation after generation, humans have faced adversities unimaginable to their predecessors and prevailed. We built tools, cities, alliances, and dreams. We discovered medicines, algorithms, and scientific truths that have extended life and deepened understanding. And we continue to write our story with each decision we make. As you reflect on the long arc of human civilization, from nomads crossing ancient plains to astronauts crossing the void of space, remember that history is not a distant tale. It lives with us, shapes us, and guides us. If you enjoyed this sweeping journey through time, make sure to subscribe to History of Wars for more cinematic documentaries, untold stories, and powerful lessons from humanity's greatest triumphs and struggles. Leave a like, share your thoughts, and let us know which historical chapter you want to explore next. Thank you for joining this epic exploration, and until our next story, stay curious.